I now invite Shri Pawan Duggalji, who is the advocate of Supreme Court of India, an eminent cyber lawyer. I call him father of cyber laws. So, Duggalji, please address few words.
Good morning, distinguished guests on the dais, ladies and gentlemen. Your password is your password. Whether it's the name of your friend, your pet, your date of birth, your son, family, anyone. That's your password. And invariably, people have a feeling, once you create a password, the password is here for life. You don't need to change it. And why should you? Because it's so impossible or so difficult to keep on remembering different passwords, more so if passwords are going to be alphanumeric in nature. But these passwords are nothing but the gateway to access of information. Apart from the fact that hackers love passwords, apart from the fact that cyber criminals love passwords and they actually focus on them, the fact remains that the law is now also beginning to love passwords. Now you will say, law and passwords, what connection do they have? The reality is that recently, last month, on 11th of April 2011, the Government of India has notified certain rules. These rules are primarily meant for a variety of purposes, but one of the most significant aspects of these rules, from a layman's perspective like yours and mine, is that your password has now been legally declared as sensitive personal information or data. That means your password, even the password, whether you create or coin a password, or whether it's automatically generated by a system, or it's a combination of both, your password that you create for a Gmail, a Yahoo, your own LAN, your WAN, your computer, is your sensitive personal information. What does that mean? The net effect of that means is that the law says the next time somebody is going to collect your password, he would be required to take your permission. Now you will say, why should somebody be required to collect my password? Now, without our realizing, there are huge networks happening that are collecting our passwords. Now, the law has said that if your password is going to be collected, it cannot be collected without your permission, it cannot be disclosed without your permission, and should somebody try to do so, that somebody would be exposing himself to liability, to pay damages by way of compensation. Now earlier, we had the 2000 law, the Information Technology Act 2000, that had given a cap. Mind you, the year was 11 years back, e-commerce was just about beginning to get started, and India didn't have anything to give a boost to e-commerce. So, the government came across with the Information Technology Act 2000. India became the 12th nation in the world to enact a cyber law. Those were early days. We were in a great amount of rush. And consequently, the focus of law was only to promote e-commerce, to provide legal recognition to electronic transactions carried out by electronic data interchange and other means of communication, which commonly were referred to as e-commerce. But over a period of time, we realized that the law required to... The 2000 law, mind you, 2000, 1 crore of rupees was too much. So the 2000 law said, should you ever want to ask damages under the Indian IT Act, you can ask up to a maximum of 1 crore rupees. Now 11 years back, 1 crore was huge. But depreciation, inflation, and the like, 2011, 1 crore of 2011 is not necessarily the 1 crore of 2000. And consequently, when the new amendments came in, the government said, okay, we are now going to pull up this cap. No caps on any damages. If you suffer millions of dollars as damages, you shall be entitled to millions of dollars. And therefore, now unlimited damages by way of compensation have now been granted. The remedy has now been provided for under the law. Which means what? Which means that should your password be compromised, or password be disclosed, or should somebody enter into your computer system, computer network, computer resource, or even your communication device without your permission or knowledge, and do a variety of activities. You download, copy, extract data. You disrupt the working of the system. You damage the system. You introduce a computer contaminant. You misuse a credit card details of someone else. A variety of activities, and broadly speaking, any activity that diminishes the value and utility of information residing in a computer resource, those kinds of activities have now been made the basis for seeking damages by way of compensation. A couple of 100 kilometers down south is the city of Chennai. A non-resident Indian apparently got a phishing attack and lost a lot of money with a bank known as ICICI Bank. So he realized he's lost money thanks to no fault of his own and thanks to the fault of the bank, and consequently filed a petition for damages, saying that all these unauthorized activities took place on the bank's network, bank is responsible, and the bank is liable to pay money of damages by way of compensation. 9 months of adjudication, and in came an award. The award, which was granted under the Information Technology Act 2000, granted more than 12 lakh rupees, 12.35 lakh rupees against the bank for unauthorized access of the bank account of the customer and the consequent loss that's caused. Now, that's a precedent. Now, till now, banks have been in a state of denial. You have any problem with the bank? You go to the bank says, look, I'm holier than thou. Nothing is wrong with me. Nothing is wrong with my system. It's you, the customer, who's at fault. You must have compromised. You must have accidentally disclosed your information. Now, that kind of a paradigm is now beginning to change. The law has now made the liabilities of not just banks more stringent, but almost all kinds of service providers who provide any services on the network. So it's no longer going to be the telecom service providers or the internet service providers that we can target. It can be anybody who provides any service on the internet, on the network, or anybody who is an intermediary. Now, those people are the people that the law has now begun to start targeting. Mind you, 2008, we saw the Mumbai attacks. Prior to Mumbai attacks, there was repeated talks that government must amend the Indian IT Act. But it took a catalyst from the form of the 26/11 Mumbai attacks for the government to enact the amendments to the Indian Information Technology Act 2000. These amendments came into effect from 27th of October 2009, dramatically changing the landscape. Not only a variety of new cyber crimes were added, but the focus was also on cyber terrorism. Imagine India became possibly the first country in the world to enact cyber terrorism as a penal offense, punishable with life imprisonment and fine. This was again thanks to the experience that we as a nation had. But more importantly, a variety of new crimes had also been added, whether these were the identity thefts of the world, these were attempting to send information or messages which were annoying, harassing, defamatory, using or dealing with stolen computer resources, or doing a variety of other illegal activities. Now, while all these new cyber crimes had been added, the government focused on cyber security because the government realized that the future belongs to cyber security. And for the first time, the legislation of India came across with a detailed, comprehensive legal definition of the term cyber security. Not only was cyber security defined by the amended IT Act, but more importantly, a variety of new obligations were put on the relevant stakeholders. Now, you as subscribers were made responsible for cybersecurity. Service providers were made responsible for ensuring reasonable security practices and procedures for the purposes of protecting and preserving of information, sensitive personal data, and of course, personally identifiable information. And now, such is the position that this morning when I'm talking with you, if somebody does not follow the mandate of the amended IT Act relating to cyber security, that effectively is an offense, punishable with 2 years imprisonment and fine. Huge focus has been put on all kinds of intermediaries, service providers, and all kinds of legal entities who are dealing with sensitive personal information, that they must take all steps within their power and possession to protect such information. They must adopt reasonable security practices and procedures while they are dealing, handling, or processing with such sensitive personal data. And the government has recently notified that all these agencies will now need to comply with ISO 27001 parameters in order to be deeming to be compliant with the provisions of reasonable security practices and procedures. So I think I'll not take much time. All I'd like to tell you is there is lots happening in the world. There's also lots happening amongst the Indian cyber law. And while large number of people are not aware of how things are happening, slowly the tide is turning. The law is getting in sync with the times. Whether you like it or not, ignorance of law is no excuse in the eyes of law. So if you are the relevant stakeholders who are playing some role in the electronic ecosystem, it will be advisable, apart from being aware and cognizant of the technical nuances of cybersecurity, to also appreciate that the law has now got various compliance obligations for your respective organizations. The law now mandates organizations to exercise due diligence while discharging their obligations under the Act. So, a lot of things are happening, but despite all this, there is still a feel-good factor. You know, it's the Amir Khan film, All's Well, in Three Idiots. That appears to be the broad message around. People want to shut their eyes and believe all is well, knowing fully well that all is not well. I think these kind of conferences can tremendously start a new debate, discussion, and orientation amongst the relevant stakeholders. That's time to wake up. Well, let's not only pay lip service to cybersecurity. Let's ensure that we all collectively contribute towards the development of a culture of cybersecurity. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.